Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2023-2024 Town of Delafield Deer Management Program. For anybody who's returning, thanks for your past participation. You'll notice there's going to be a lot of similarities to things that you've encountered in the past. Not a whole lot of new information from that standpoint. Just new organization. Wayne Dean is no longer our chairperson as he is relocated to Colorado. So between myself, Chris Kelleher, my son, Noah Kelleher, and a friend of ours, Sean Parent, we will be taking over the program, and we will be doing things just a bit different this year, mainly from a standpoint of documentation, logs, that type of stuff. Not on your end, you're probably not going to see anything different, but there will be some behind-the-scene things that are going to be going on that hopefully you'll appreciate. We'll have some better statistics and some other stuff that we did not have access to previously. So welcome aboard. Anybody who's new to this program, as I said, welcome. We look forward to having you guys participate. Hopefully it'll be a fun experience for you and you'll be able to share the experience with other folks, friends, family members, any of that type of stuff. So welcome aboard. A couple of important rules to go through before we get into the actual locations, stand locations, any of the logistics as far as those things go. So first and foremost, everybody has to fill out an application. Regardless if you're a returning hunter or if you're a new hunter to the program, we are a new group of people who are taking over the oversight of the program, and we want to make sure we've got good, fresh data. So everybody has to fill out an application. The applications, there's two of them. One is an A1, that is for those hunters that are using Town of Delafield tags, nuisance tags, on a private property. Those are not Town of Delafield sanctioned stands. Those are on a private property that the hunter has an agreement with that landowner to harvest deer, but they want to make use of nuisance tags from the Town of Delafield. So that's the A1 application. The C1 application is going to apply for anybody who's going to participate in the program as a hunter on a town sanctioned stand. There's 13 stands that we have out there on a couple of different properties. We'll be going through those with the rest of the PowerPoint, but those are the two different applications. Additionally, you're going to have to go to the Town of Delafield site. You're going to have to review their hunting rules, sign off on that sheet to make sure that you've reviewed them. You will comply with them. So you're going to have to sign off on that document. You're also going to have to sign off on their waiver as part of this application process. Once you're approved, we will send you a 6-digit number. That's going to be your ID that we want in a back tag and also as a placard inside of your vehicle wherever you park. So anybody participating in the program, you got to wear a back tag. Make sure that it's visible. If you're wearing a backpack, make sure that the tag is on the outside of the backpack so that people can actually see that number. Same thing with the placard inside of your vehicle. Make sure that it's visible. 1-inch minimum letter size. Again, it's strictly so that we've got some way to identify, should we have any type of an issue, we've got some way to identify who the folks are. Once you get your approval, an additional part of this process is going to be that you will have access to the appointment calendar. As soon as you get your 6-digit code, as soon as you get your approval, you're going to get that link that you're going to have available to you so that you can go and you can start to make your appointments on the calendar for hunting. We ask that you don't do any more than 3 in a 30-day time frame. If somebody starts to abuse that, obviously we'll ask you to refrain from putting more on than that. But it's really just so everybody can participate in the program. And it's also so that somebody doesn't get a chance to hog the quote-unquote the best sites. So those are two of the things that are going to happen once you are approved. Once you actually do, in fact, go out to hunt, make sure that you've got either a printed copy of your confirmation for your stand that day, or if you have a smartphone or a tablet, if you take that in your backpack, take it out to the site, make sure that you've got some way to confirm that you, in fact, are the guy who's supposed to be on that stand for that particular time on that day. So again, it's just the way to verify that we've got good information out there and make sure that nobody's jeopardizing somebody else's hunt by showing up inadvertently in a wrong location or on a wrong day. Additionally, let's say that now you harvested an animal as part of this program and that animal travels to an alternate property, not one that we have as part of our available properties, but it goes into an adjoining piece of property. That's your job as the hunter. It's your job to find out who that landowner is and to get their permission to go and retrieve that deer. So there are plenty of ways to get that information. Waukesha GIS has a map. Onyx Hunt, Hunt Stand, or just a couple of the programs that are out there. They're actually some pretty good programs. They're pretty well up to date. I believe some of them even update their information monthly. So there's no excuse that you can't find the information that you're looking for. And make sure that you get that approval before you go and travel onto somebody else's property. Initial requirement, you may only hunt from elevated stands, meaning to and from the stand, you are not to shoot. We want to make sure that when we are shooting our critters, we are shooting from an elevated location so that in the event that you miss or hit high or that arrow passes through that particular animal, that it goes into the ground or into a tree or something along those lines. We do not want those arrows traveling horizontally so that they could potentially hurt somebody else who's out in the woods, possibly even hitting another animal or whatever the case is. We want to make sure that our arrows and our projectiles are going from the tree downward. So no hunting once you are on the ground. This is strictly for a program that you are from the tree stand. Again, as a reminder, this is a nuisance tag program. So this is designed to take does and fawns. Yes, unfortunately, that's part of the program. If there are small deer, we encourage you still to take the animal. If you have a chance to harvest even a small animal, take it. We can get more nuisance tags if we need them, but the idea of the program is strictly to take does and fawns. It's to reduce the overall deer numbers. You can always donate the deer. Obviously, there are some requirements as far as CWD testing, that type of stuff through the DNR in the event that you want to donate the animal. But those are, again, those DNR rules, those are up to you to check out and make sure that you get that information taken care of. But please don't pass on the small deer. We have had people in the past that have chosen not to shoot a small critter. Unfortunately, that's not part of the program. That is not what we're trying to do. We are trying to get the deer numbers down, and that's one of the requirements there. Once you harvest an animal, we want you to, you're going to have to register it twice. I say register it. I'm just saying send some information twice. Once is with us at the address listed there, deermanagement@townofdelafield.org. And second, obviously, you got to do the normal registration through the state DNR. There's going to be some requirements as far as what we want to see on that information once you send us that email. That we'll go through on the next slide, but the state of Wisconsin still requires, once you sign that information or send that information to us, we do not, as part of the town of Delafield, we don't send that information on to the DNR. That's your job. Bucks can only be taken with your available archery tag. So if you have already shot a buck with your archery tag and you shoot another buck, I can tell you right now, you are out of the program, point blank, no exceptions, no excuses. Violation of that particular rule is a huge no-no, and you will be immediately removed from the program. You may also be subject to some type of DNR issues in the event that you shoot a second buck and you don't have a tag for it. We do not use the nuisance tags for bucks. They are strictly for does and fawns only. So please don't violate that rule. I don't want to have to remove you from the program, but I guarantee you, we will remove you if you violate that particular rule. Some additional rules. To and from the stands, we'd like you to wear blaze orange or the hot pink, the approved hot pink, and in some type of a vest. Obviously, if that's where you're displaying your back tag, make sure it's got your back tag on there. But we want you to either wear blaze orange or that hot pink. To and from the stands, you don't need to wear the stuff once you're in the stand and on stand, but definitely to and from the stand, we want to make sure that you do in fact have that on. The back tag, obviously, as I said, you got to display that as you're going to and from the stand. Make sure it's on your back or on the backpack. Make sure it's visible. Also, make sure that it's on the dash of your vehicle, some type of placard. Some guys they'll take a piece of paper, they'll print the thing off, and then they'll laminate it. They'll just set it up on the front dash of their car, truck, whatever. Just make sure that you do in fact have that. As I mentioned in the previous slide, when you do in fact harvest the deer, we'd like you to register that deer with us. I say register, I'm just saying give us some information about the deer. These are things that we are trying to provide to the DNR as far as their information. So please make sure you give us this information. Your name and your DNR hunter number. Not the number we have assigned you for your approval, the DNR number. So your name and your DNR hunter number. The date and time of your harvest, what stand you were on and what location. Again, by the stand and the location, some cases people don't exactly know where stuff is, so we want to make sure that, again, if we have to give information to the DNR, we've got those exact GPS coordinates with them. So they're listed right on the stand. I mean, when you're doing your sign up as far as your appointments, those stand locations are in fact there. In this presentation today, you're going to see what all those different locations are. Again, there really is no reason for you not to have access to that information. You could even refer to it. Let's say that you harvest your animal, you go home, and you're like, oh crap, that was on stand number 13, but I don't know what the coordinates are because I'm not on stand right now. Go back to the appointment calendar. It'll actually have the GPS coordinates on it. So we ask that you have that in the piece of information when you send it to us. Type of deer harvested, buck, doe, fawn, whatever it was. If in fact you harvested a buck, obviously we're going to be looking for your tag number that you're assigning to that buck. If you are harvesting a doe or a fawn, we're going to ask you for the nuisance tag number that you used for your harvest. So make sure that those two pieces of information are there. And then lastly is the weapon used for the harvest, either a vertical bow or a crossbow. Just make sure that you get that information to us after your hunt. Again, this is not going to be transferred to the DNR, so you will still have to register your deer, just like normal, with the DNR. Yes, it's a kind of a pain in the butt to have two different things that you have to do, but it's part of the deal. So now we're going to go through some of the locations of the town-sanctioned stands. These stands basically reside on two different properties in the town of Delafield. Stands 3 through 14, those are on the old Ethan Allen School for Boys property. Obviously not inside the fence. This is property that is outside the fence. And that is roughly a little bit northwest of the intersection of Highway 18 and 83. The other two stands, stands number 1 and 2, those are located on the Veterans Electric and Waukesha County Land Conservancy property that is located just west of Cushing Park Road and just north of Highway 18. When you are going to the two different locations, the Ethan Allen property has a drive at Boys School Road. It goes in right off of Highway 83. You're going to just follow that in all the way back to the location. We're going to go through where you park. We're going to give you that information here shortly. If you're going to stands 1 and 2, you're going to go down Highway 18. Roughly, it's about 100 yards west of Cushing Park Road. You're going to go drive into the Veterans Electric driveway. You'll see the big Veterans Electric property as you're heading north. You're going to drive around to the west and northwest corner. And we're going to park on the northwest side, northwest corner of Veterans Electric. And we have been given access to that area by the landowner. His name is Scott Flogger, who owns Veterans Electric. And he does have some equipment back there. He's got some trailers, some trucks. He's got some materials back there. When you park, just find an available spot and park. Try not to block any driveway. Don't block any access to any equipment, and don't block any access to any materials. it's pretty much self-explanatory. There should only be 2 cars parking back there. Obviously, if you're there's only 2 stands there, so there shouldn't be any more than 2 vehicles back there. So you should be able to find yourself a spot that's not going to block any driveway, materials, or equipment. Find a spot, park, have at it. Stands 1 and 2 at Veterans Electric. While we say that these stands are at Veterans Electric, realistically, we are hunting on Waukesha County Land Conservancy property. They have been gracious enough to allow us access to a 10-acre parcel. You'll see the boundary lines right there. Kind of goes up in that polygonal shape that's there on the screen. But we also have access to the 2 Scott Flogger properties to the south of that. So it's a pretty nice parcel. Obviously, our hope is that if we do in fact harvest animals and they do travel at all, that you travel south. However, if they do travel outside of those boundary markers, it's your responsibility to make sure that you track down those landowners, make sure you get that permission that you need to go and retrieve those animals. Again, we talked about it in the previous slide. Coming in off of Highway 18, you look at the south side of this, or the bottom part of this slide, see the driveway goes all the way up to the building. You're going to go to the left of that building, west side. Northwest corner, you'll see I've got it identified as far as there's the parking. Park there, don't block equipment, don't block any access to the driveways, materials, any of that type of stuff. Park, get your stuff together, and then you're going to proceed. You're going to walk to the east. You're going to go around. There's an old shed, old shack there. You're going to go around that to the east. As soon as you get around that shack, you're going to see a bridge. Go across the bridge. Now, if you are hunting from stand number 1, you're going to look to the north. There's a great big oak tree right in the middle of that meadow. Look to the left of that big oak tree. There's some ribbons hanging on some trees. Follow those ribbons up to stand number 1. Stand number 2, once you cross over the bridge, you're going to look to the east. Again, another big oak tree. You're going to see some ribbons hanging there. Follow those ribbons to the east, southeast. Follow that down to stand number 2. Again, know your boundaries. Know where you're supposed to be, where you have access to, that type of stuff. Both of these locations, they're in a creekway. There's a really nice creekway that flows through there. We have seen some pretty good animals on camera that traverse those particular areas. Both of these stands have produced well in the past, so good luck. Here it's showing the exact GPS coordinates of stand number 1 and stand number 2. These were physically taken from the stand, so you have the exact coordinates. Any of you who use the Google programs to know your whereabouts and to do your stand pursuits or your hunting pursuits should be familiar with this stuff. You could actually load those things in and you can find your way to these stands pretty easy. But again, these are the exact locations for each of these stands. So here we're showing the rough boundaries for stands number 3 through 14. So here's the rough boundary of the Ethan Allen property that we have access to. Anybody who's familiar with this program knows that there is a section of this that is located inside of a fence. We don't travel to the fence. We don't travel inside the fence. Any of our travel is going to be limited to the outside of the fence to their property line. Again, in the event that you harvest an animal and it travels outside of this boundary line, this boundary area, it's going to be up to you to track down those landowners to gain access to any adjacent property to retrieve the animal. I will say this, to the east, when you look on your GIS or Onyx Hunt or Hunt Stand maps, you're going to notice that the east side of this, as well as a little bit on the south end of this boundary, is all listed as state of Wisconsin. We do have an agreement with the state of Wisconsin that we can go onto the state land and we can retrieve our deer. We cannot hunt those properties, but we can, in fact, if you shoot an animal, it goes in there, we can go in there and we can retrieve those animals. In the event that your animal is not dead and you have to shoot it, you may have to get a ranger involved because, as I said, we are not able to hunt those properties. We can, in fact, retrieve deer from them in the event that we need to go there. So Here you see roughly where the locations of the stands are on the Ethan Allen property. This applies to stands 3 through 14. You'll notice at the bottom of this page, the parking. We're going to go through the parking on the next slide, but you will notice there's a big, bold yellow line that goes throughout. Those are the main travel locations that you're going to go and use to get to your stands. Those are all paved. Those are all easy walking. All the yellow, that's all paved and easy walking. You can, in fact, use a manual bicycle or an electric bicycle on those paved surfaces. Once you leave the paved surface, you may not use an electric bike or a manual bike. They do not want any type of damage. They don't want any ruts. They don't want anything that's being created from people using bikes in those wooded or meadowed or any of those other sections. So bike travel is strictly limited to those yellow areas. Feel free to use them. But we are not responsible for any type of loss, stolen, damage, anything that happens to your bicycle while you are on hunt. That's entirely up to you. How you secure that bicycle in those paved areas while you're hunting, that's on you. Whatever you come up with, you want to lock it to a fence, or you want to lock it to a bollard or anything of the sort, that's entirely up to you. We are not responsible. We, meaning Town of Delafield, nor the property owners, Wisconsin State of Corrections, is responsible for any loss of your bicycles should you use that mode of travel. Otherwise, once you leave those yellow areas and you do your walking up through the woods, hopefully you're physically fit well enough to do that. As an example, from the parking area all the way up to stand number 11, I believe that distance is about 3/4 of a mile. And it's uphill the entire way. It's entirely uphill. So make sure that you are physically fit to do this activity, not that you can create issues for yourself or anybody else who's out there on hunt. Make sure that you're able to get yourself in and out of the woods, hopefully. It's not to say that people won't help you, but I would prefer that you are physically fit well enough to participate in the program. In the event that you have somebody who has a disability, stand number 3 is a listed ADA stand. That does mean that we have paved surface all the way up to where it shows right there where the red breaks off. From the red, on the north side of that building that you see there, there's a little bit of gravel and some dilapidated asphalt that you can in fact still get relatively clean pushing of a wheelchair or drivable wheelchair. Once you leave that corner of that northeast corner of that building, that is in grass, and even though it's pretty flat, it is walkable, it is pushable as far as with a regular wheelchair. And then once you get into that stand, you'll see it. The stand is located on an 8-foot snowmobile trailer, and there's ramps and stuff to get you up and into that. So that is available should somebody need it. Again, plenty of choices for you. All very good locations. We have actually had harvests from every single one of these stands. So parking here at Ethan Allen. As you're pulling into the property, you're going to notice this turnaround, this drive-through driveway, and these couple of houses. These are, they're houses or garages that are here. These locations that are here on this slide are the listed locations that we want you to park. We do not want you parking on the driveway itself. We want you parking on either the gravel or the concrete pads or whatever adjacent to the driveway. Please make sure that this driveway is kept clear at all times. Park in these locations when you are going out to hunt for the stands that you're hunting on the Ethan Allen property. As you said, stand number 3 is approved hunter. Is an approved stand for hunters with disabilities, veterans, police, EMT, whatever. You'll notice that building down in the lower left-hand corner. As I mentioned previously, there's a drive that's right there. There's some gravel / dilapidated asphalt that travels that entire north side of the building. And then you have to leave that area and you're going to go through regular shortcut grass. It's a pretty flat area. And then you're going to go on a couple of different little ramps. One's a dirt ramp, the other one's an actual wooden ramp that'll get you up into the stand. There are 2 chairs in that stand, so the hunter with disabilities or their partner can in fact join them on that hunt. Stands number 4 and 5. 4 is an enclosed blind tower stand that is just west of that maintenance building that's there. Again, if you travel on that main driveway, so you come out of the parking, that's right there in the middle, lower section. You're going to walk up that driveway, get to the driveway of the main building, basically go to the left or to the west. You'll see the pink ribbons, follow it around and climb up into the stand. Stand number 5, come out of the parking. As soon as you get out of the parking, you're going to see an old tractor path that travels to the east. Follow that tractor path to the east, and then you're going to go north to stand number 5. Stand number 5 is just a 2-man ladder stand that's available that overlooks that meadow. Stand number 6 is a 2-person ladder stand that is on the north side. As I mentioned earlier, there's like this retention pond area. They're not really ponds. These are dry ponds. These are owned by the state of Wisconsin, and they're completely fenced. So stand number 6 is on the north side, the west end of that retention pond. And you're basically going to be hunting to the north of you. You are not to shoot into the fenced area that is south of you. You can, in fact, watch deer. There are deer that will move through there, but you may not hunt those particular deer. You have to shoot at anything outside of that fence. And again, that travel path, please refer to the first slide that I showed you. You're going to come a little bit north of the parking area, see the tractor path. You're going to follow that tractor path basically to the west side, west end of the fenced area. Go north, and then go to the stand from there. There are ribbons and there are trails that mark it very well. Stand number 7 is another 2-man ladder stand, and again, it is outside of the fenced-in area, that dry retention area that's there out on the property. And again, this one is going to be, you go north of the parking area, you get to that tractor path. This one, you're going to follow the tractor path all the way to the east side of the fenced area. Then you're going to go north along that fence. And again, you're going to have a pretty clear travel path that's already been mowed. And there are ribbons that'll take you right to the stand again. Should be very easy traveling. Stand number 9. This is another single person ladder stand, and this is located up the hill, up and to the left, up and to the west, I should say. This one, once you leave the paved surface, this is basically straight up a hill, and it's a little bit of side hill traverse, so please make sure you take your time, make sure you watch where you're stepping. Please be careful. Like I said, once you leave that paved area, you are basically going straight up the hill to get to that stand. It does, in fact, have a mowed path. It's got ribbons the entire space, or the entire way, so it should not be an issue as far as physically finding it. It's a difficult walk, so please be careful. Stand number 10 is an enclosed blind, quad blind up on top of about a 10-foot pedestal. It does, in fact, have 2 chairs, so 2 people can hunt this one without any issue. The way you access this one is off the main road. Follow that main road up past 10, past stand number 9, past stand number 14, up until you get to this open meadow. Open meadow is kind of pretty easy to identify. There's a great big oak. As soon as you come out of that walkway there, when you make that little curve, you come out, you see this great big oak. Look to your left. There's some ribbons. The ribbons will take you to the stand. So pretty straightforward on this one. Stand number 11. This is probably one of the most difficult stands to get to, simply because of the distance and the fact that it's all uphill. Just when you think you've gotten to where you're supposed to go, meaning the well house, so you walk all this way, you get up to this well house, you think, oh, I'm there. Well, you're not. You have to continue going up further up the hill on this tractor path. Again, this is very well marked. There are ribbons the entire route. But this is a single ladder stand up on the top of the hill. And please, again, I'm going to remind you, anybody who's using this or participating in this stand, please make sure that you are physically fit well enough to get up there, because it's a hike. Stand number 12. Up until now, basically everything has been following the roadway or the driveway on the west side of the fenced area of Ethan Allen. This particular stand, to get to it, you're going to follow the paved areas or the driveway on the east side of the fenced area. Follow it up, you're going to cross over a big parking lot. As soon as you get across the big parking lot, you're going to go up this hill. There's a great big I think it's a dead elm tree or something up on top of the hill. Go up to the top of that hill, look to the east, you're going to see some ribbons. Those ribbons are going to then take you down and through a little wooded section adjacent to a pond, and that's where you're going to find stand number 12. So stand number 12, you're going to be able to oversee and hunt a pond to your north, and then there's a nice open meadow to the south of you. Again, nice location. This is a single ladder stand, a little bit bigger than a normal ladder stand, but it is not big enough for two people. But nice location. Stand number 13. There's another stand, two-person ladder stand located on the far northeast corner of the property. This one, you're going to be walking the same route as stand number 12, except where stand number 12 takes off and goes to the east up this little hill. You are going to continue your quest on the paved area that is outside the east fenced area of the correctional facility. You're going to follow this up until you get to the top of the hill. When you get to the top of the hill, on the fencing, you're going to notice a ribbon. When you see that ribbon on the fencing, look to the east. So look to your right, and there is a trail that will take you down the hill and through the woods. Yep, just like to grandmother's house. But it's going to take you to the stand. So you're going to go through that wooded section, then you get out into the meadow, and you still have to travel a little bit further to the south, another 30 yards or so to the south. That'll take you to the stand. But again, real nice location. Overlooks a really nice meadow. You're basically going to be hunting to the east of you. Not a whole lot to be able to shoot at north or west of you on this particular location. Stand number 14 was a stand that we added last year. That's why it's out of sequence with all the rest of the stands. That's why it's stand number 14. Sounds kind of goofy. We've kind of gone in clockwise order as far as stand locations, but this is one we thought we had a nice location for it, and we decided to add it as stand 14. So this one will be going up on the driveway to the west side of the fenced area, and you're going to go past where stand number 9 breaks off and goes up the hill. You're going to go to the very next set of ribbons that go to the west. This stand is located between stands number 9 and 10. So 10 is way up on top of the hill in that meadow. 9 is on that hillside. Between them is the entrance to go into the woods for stand number 14. Stand number 14 by far has the longest route through the woods of any of the stands on the Ethan Allen property. And again, this one is uphill. It is traversing some side hill stuff. There are rocks in here. There is a pathway that's mowed, and there is ribbons the entire route, but please make sure that you are physically fit well enough for traversing through the woods to get to this stand. Should not be a problem as far as finding it, either going in or coming out, but it is a little bit more difficult simply because it's mostly through the woods. Now that you have all the locations and all the GPS coordinates, just going to buzz through a couple of recap items. Even though I didn't say it previously, on the application you're going to have a question that says, have you had hunter safety? If you have not had hunter safety certification, you will not be approved as a hunter for this program. So if you answer no to that question, you will not be approved as part of this program. You have to have your hunter safety certification, but that's right on the application. You'll notice that. You also have to make sure that you review all the hunter rules in the town of Delafield, as well as sign off on the waiver. making sure that you're wearing pink to and from the stand. Obviously, participation in this PowerPoint is not an option. You have to do that as part of this application. Complete the application, either A1 or C1, send it to deermanagement@townofdelafield.org. Once approved, you're going to have access to the appointment calendar where you can start making your hunting appointments. Again, try to limit your hunts to 3 appointments in any 30-day time frame. If you get out of line, we'll physically see that, we'll flag it, we may in fact ask you to remove some of your appointments if in fact that's what you're doing, but make sure that you do that. One thing I did not mention, and one thing that's not even listed here, is if you do in fact have to cancel, try to cancel, as soon as possible. Sometimes, obviously, things come up. If you're supposed to hunt in the morning, try to cancel by the night before. So, in fact, if somebody's reviewing stand locations last minute and something comes available, they have the ability to hunt where you may not. Try to get any cancellations into the system as soon as possible, just so somebody else can participate if, in fact, that's available. During your hunt, make sure that you adhere to where we tell you the parking is supposed to be available. The fact that we are doing this on properties that are being granted to us, meaning we don't own the properties. Town of Delafield does not own the properties. We don't want to screw those up. We don't want to screw up the arrangements that we've made with some of these folks. So please pay attention to where you're supposed to park and make sure that you don't block accesses that you're not supposed to block. This is a program with the nuisance tags that we provide you. So the town of Delafield provides you the nuisance tags. They will be on the stands themselves. Anybody who's participated in this program knows that every stand is set up the same way. Every stand has a hanger for a backpack. It has a hanger for your bow or your crossbow. It does in fact have a tree strap with an eyelet that's available so you can connect a safety harness to it. It also has a drop rope. So every one of these stands is set up in the exact same way. They also have the tags. They're physically attached to the stand, so in the event that you harvest an animal, you don't have to search for them. The tags are actually there attached to the stand. So, and as a reminder, the nuisance tags that we provide you for the town of Delafield are for antlerless animals only. If you harvest a buck, I don't care if it's a spike buck, if it's a spike buck, you may not use a nuisance tag for a buck, period. You have to either use your own tag for a buck or you have to pass. You cannot harvest bucks if in fact you don't have a valid and available archery tag. So please make sure you remember that. All harvest has to be duly reported, once to us, once to the DNR. Make sure that you follow that. And please pay attention to the pathways that we've shown you to and from the stand so you don't ruin somebody else's hunt. We don't want you wandering around in the woods. We also don't want you getting shot if somebody, whatever. Accidents happen. They happen a lot. Make sure that you pay attention where you're supposed to be. Make sure that you adhere to that, again, for everybody's benefit. Please do that. Again, we thank you for your participation. Hopefully you have some luck, and hopefully you enjoy your experience. So thanks again for joining us. Good luck. I almost forgot. Lastly, we do have the ability to accept donations. While we don't charge to participate in the program, we can always use some additional funding. We do have one of the quad blinds has an issue with the enclosure. That's going to have to be replaced. We would like to buy a couple of additional chairs for a couple of the blinds, that type of stuff. We also have a website fee that we have to take care of. So anybody who wants to participate, we welcome your participation as far as donations. Make your checks payable to the Town of Delafield Deer Management, and the town will keep that in a separate fund for our expenses. So anybody can help. We would love to have your participation and assistance with any type of monetary funds you can help us with. So again, thank you. Good luck. Have a great time this year, and hopefully we'll see you out there.